Hey Critical Analysis, this is your video for week 13 of the semester. We are almost done at this point. This runs from April 19th through the 25th, and honestly, this is chapter 10 of our text, and there are 10 chapters. So this finishes our last text chapter, and then you'll see weeks 14 and weeks 15 wrapping up with some vocabulary, some attendance posts, and of course finishing your mastery skills and an end of semester review packet. So after this week, it really does start to just zoom toward the end of the semester. So speaking of mastery skills, just a quick reminder, as always, you have to have all 10 skills done by the end of week 15. And on our syllabus, week 15 ends on Sunday, May 9th. That is when mastery skills have to be completed. All 10 have to be done with an 80% or higher. By the time you watch this video, 9 of the 10 are open and able to be worked on. I will open up the very last skill, which is combined skills, in week 14, because it's just what it says it is. It is combining all the skills together, which is basically what chapter 10 does, but you'll see the critical thinking skill open up in week 13, just since it still ties to some of the concepts that are talked about in chapter 10. So just another mastery skills kind of reminder. All right, so as I get into our content area, of course, our textbook is up in the background already. So I'm gonna go ahead and scroll all the way down. And again, we're week 13, chapter 10. You'll see wrapping things up after that. Chapter 10, this is chapter 10, which is talking about combining all the skills. It's kind of just a culmination. So I don't really have necessarily like a huge lecture for this chapter. There is a PowerPoint that goes along with the chapter that I'll kind of go through, but more than anything, it serves to just refresh your memory on the concepts that we've already talked about, not necessarily teaching anything brand new. And then I'll get to that in just a second. As a reminder, your vocabulary is going to be in a separate video. You'll see the vocabulary video above the chapter vocabulary quiz in Dropbox, so look out for that next. Okay, so chapter 10, the reading content is on political science, the American government, which I think is always timely, especially, just several months after the most recent inauguration. Government is like a hot topic right now. But it usually is something on people's minds throughout the year anyway, just kind of politics, government, whether you're involved or not, it's hard to escape some of those things. All right, so again, this is trying to synthesize all the skills we've talked about throughout the chapters. And so the readings will involve around a lot of issues in the political system. So this is a real quick reminder of all the skills we've talked about through chapter 1 through 9. Up to this point, you can see it goes right in order of the order that we did talk about these skills. And so as a reminder, here's just real quickly what we mean. So when we talked about vocabulary, we talked about being able to look at context clues and see if the author has provided a synonym or an antonym, the same or the opposite of an unknown word. Can logic kick in? Do they give an example? And then just checking in to see what I do or do not understand. So vocabulary all focus on context clues. We talked a little bit about word parts as well and dictionary use, but it really focused on using the clues that the author provides to help you understand an unfamiliar word right in the text itself. Then we went on to talk about topics and main ideas. Topic is the who or what, the one word or small phrase about a paragraph. And then the main idea is, what is the author trying to teach you about the topic? What are you supposed to walk away with? The main idea is a one-sentence summary. It is an overview of the paragraph. It basically is kind of the umbrella idea. It captures what the paragraph is supposed to be about. After you find your topic and main idea, whether it's directly stated or implied, your supporting details are the things that support the main idea. Major supporting details directly support the main idea, where minor supporting details directly support the major details. So they work in that kind of hierarchy. So all of these were kind of captured, back to back in several chapters. So just refreshing our memory there. From there, we started talking about making inferences, which to me connects with main ideas, because sometimes main ideas are not directly stated. We have to infer what they're saying. So an author will make inferences, they'll imply, they'll hint or suggest, and we have to use what we know about the text that is supplied, the facts or the opinions, the information, and what the author is trying to say. From there, we talked about purpose and tone. You know, purpose meaning, why did the author write this? Are they narrating, describing, you know, trying to entertain, persuade? You know, why did the author write this piece of text? And then what's their tone? What's their attitude or emotion? What kind of words are they using? Positive, negative? You know, so looking to see kind of how they feel about that topic. And then most recently, we talked a lot about these critical thinking type concepts, you know, fact versus opinion. Fact, can it be proven true or false? Opinion, is it someone's personal view or judgment? Argument, is the author trying to make a point in particular, you know, aspect? Are they trying to promote a particular cause? Which goes along to me a lot with bias. You know, is their attitude expressed? Are they for or against something, or are they just giving the information? And then we also talked about patterns of organization. You know, is the author organizing something based on comparing, contrasting, cause and effect, examples? You know, there were 10 total. And what kind of transition and signal words did the author use to be able to identify those structures? The rest of the PowerPoint kind of talks about using this strategy called KWL, which I've talked about kind of informally, trying to take some time to think about what you know, what you want to learn, what you know, you've already learned in the past, and then reviewing. So part of that reading process overall. So that's the lecture, if you will, on chapter 10, is just really kind of taking stock. And what I would encourage you to do is just kind of look at this list and be like, all right, what did I do really well with? Or what do I really need to maybe go back and revisit because I didn't quite understand? Or do I need some more practice with this? Again, I'm always good if you want to make an appointment, whether that's virtual or in person, just to go over any of these, or if you want additional practice, or I can just send you things. So just let me know. I don't want you to kind of leave the class still feeling like, you know, one or two of these you're a little bit fuzzy on, because so many of these things will appear in your academic writing classes, your effective speaking classes. You will see a lot of these concepts again. So it's important that you know them now. Okay, so once you're comfortable with chapter 10, just overall, we're gonna go ahead and get into our text sheet. So that's gonna be open up, and that's going here in my background. So the chapter, hopefully you've noticed, based on my announcement and the syllabus, there is no homework assignment this week. So you are only submitting basically 3 things instead of your 4 things. You are submitting your vocabulary quiz, your text and skill sheet, and your discussion post. There's no chapter 10 homework, because instead during week 15, there's a course review packet that kind of goes along with this anyway. So just keep that in mind. There's no like homework practice sheet with this week. So a little bit lighter. All right, so I have my TSP sheet going in the background here. I'm going to go ahead and get into our textbook. Again, you can see we're on political science, specifically the American government. So it gives our little introduction. Again, I always encourage you to read that. And as you're reading it, you'll see the introductory questions. That's always the basis of one of our discussion posts. So your discussion post this, oh my goodness, I'm clicking all around. The discussion post this week is using one of those questions. It says, despite the fact that U.S. citizens 18 and older are eligible to vote, the reality is that only 52% of eligible voters actually exercise their right to vote. Now, this is like an average. Some election cycles are higher than others. Some are lower than others. So this is kind of like an average and a normal type of year, not even a presidential year. It says, discuss what factors might keep the rest of the voters from participating in the electoral process. Given these factors, what would motivate non-voters to turn out at the polls? So you're basically just kind of giving your opinion as to why you think some people don't vote, and what would motivate people who are eligible or, you know, registered to vote to actually either go out and vote, or maybe someone who's not registered to register to vote. So we want to make sure that you respond by Wednesday for week 13 attendance. Also, here's your kind of last couple chances. Throughout the semester, you were supposed to be responding to 10 classmates or 10 interactions as we go throughout these discussion posts. And some of you have not responded to anyone. So you're going to lose those participation points. So please make sure that you do go in there after you post your attendance post and respond to some classmates. It can be 5 this week and then 5 next week, or however you want to divvy that up. All right, so now we're going to go ahead, and as you can see, like this is a rather condensed text and skill sheet. So part A, this is going to be the vocabulary review. Some of these questions are going to kind of mix in all of the concepts that we've done so far. So part A, you're going to go to exercise 10.3. So I'm going to go to our textbook. I'm I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do my discipline. Here is my 10.3 right here. Now, some people get confused. This is not a word bank. It's the word bank for the words that are in the chapter, but you're not using these. These are not your answers. So please make sure you do not write these down for your answers. So you are answering questions 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to do maybe just a couple with you and then the rest on your own. So number 1, it says U.S. relations with oil-producing countries and violent crimes committed in countries around the world have caused student activists and intellectuals to take politics seriously. So again, you see the word activist is in the word bank. It's not one of your answers. It wants to know a synonym for activist. So this is going back again to that vocabulary chapter. What is a word that is the same or similar to the word activist? That answer is not in the word bank. I'm just going to say like, okay, activist is someone who wants to, you know, they're for a cause, they're trying to make a change. So I'm going to say advocate, or someone who's an advocate is an activist, someone who's like for something. Okay, so I'm going to click back here. You are also answering question 2. Same thing, read it. It says synonym, question 3, synonym, question 5. Here we go, antonym. So I'm going to do this one with you. Non-citizen voting is the suffrage movement of our time. What is suffrage? An antonym for suffrage. So I know that suffrage means the right to vote or being able to vote. So if I wanted to, I could get kind of wordy in number 5 and say not being able to vote, but there's a word for that. So I'm just going to type that word. Disenfranchisement. That's what that means, is not having the right to vote. Now, if you don't want to type that long word, you don't have to. You can simply put like not being able to vote. You can put a phrase there. That's okay. All right. So you're also answering questions 8, 9, 10. So just pay attention. 8 is synonym, 9 is antonym, and 10 is synonym. So really pay attention to what it's asking you, synonym or antonym. Okay. So you're going to do the rest of part A there, either doing a synonym or antonym for the word that is in bold. All right, the next thing, this is kind of a little different than what we're used to because now it's going to have us go to the TED Talk, which we normally save for the end. But we're going to go ahead and click on our TED Talk. And this is a lecture called Dance to Change the World. Of course, you can click on the link and it will take you to the actual TED Talk so you can listen to it if you wish to, or you can read along or however you like to do that. So I would encourage you to pause the video and read the TED Talk or listen to the video. And then when you are done, you are answering the short answer questions. You are answering question 1, 3, and 4. 1, what is the point Mrs. Sahrabi is trying to make by beginning her presentation with the story of the one-eyed monkey? How did her mother inspire her? And this is going to kind of, I think, resonate with a discussion question you guys did a couple weeks ago about violence. It says that, do you agree with her that we all contain the seed of violence within us? If yes, how can we best contain this violent tendency? If you recall, you talked a very similar discussion post on this about like societies and violence. So you can kind of use that idea that you had to answer this question. So you're answering questions 1, 3, and 4 right here, part B, over that TED Talk. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down. Now we're going to do Roman numeral 2, part A. You're going to read the section called Give Non-Citizens the Right to Vote. It's Only Fair. So I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Here it is, reading number 2. And I think this is a really interesting one because it kind of brings up the fact that, you know, for a long time, certain groups of people in our country were not allowed to vote. African Americans, women. And so eventually, you know, thankfully, those groups of people have earned, not even earned, were given, because they should have been earned already, but given the right to vote. And this is going to be talking about a similar issue, but non-citizens. And so you can see it's a little dated, but it's still something that gets brought up because it's not been addressed, or in this case of this reading, they've not been given the right to vote across the entire country. But you'll see that there are some places where it happens on smaller scale. So I'm going to have you go ahead and read that. You can see it's a really short article, pretty short. When you're done, join me again with the reading comprehension check. you're going to be answering multiple choice questions, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10. So I'll just do a couple with you real quickly. All right, so number 1, it says there's another tactic, increasing immigrant clout by allowing all non-citizens to vote. That also deserves serious consideration. So what the word clout mean? If you look at the words here, positivity, that is an extra B in there. It shouldn't be there. It should just be the word influence, propriety, and legality. So if you think about the word clout, it usually means like you have some push behind you, like you have a little bit to go off of. So the best choice would be influence, B. If you have clout, you have some power, you have some influence, you're able to make a difference. So number 1 is B. Make sure you answer question 3. It is another vocabulary. It's asking for a synonym. Go ahead and scroll down to number 5. It's asking about an inference that the author is making. So you want to read those and make the correct inference. Number 7, it directly points you to paragraph 9. So you want to look at paragraph 9 and look to see what they were trying to illustrate there. Number 8, it wants to know the purpose. What is the purpose of this article? So I'm going to look. It says to entertain, to persuade readers to support his ideas about immigrant voting rights, to inform readers about a political issue, to inform readers about the history of immigrants. So if I'm looking at those options, just at the title of the article, give non-citizens the right to vote, it's only fair. Just from the title, hopefully you can tell that this person is trying to persuade us to support these ideas, that he thinks immigrants should have voting rights. So that is a persuasive piece. So I'm going to scroll down to number 8. And that was also B, to persuade. And then also make sure you answer question 10. Okay, now the last part is another voting type selection. It says, should the voting age be lowered? So this is another one where it's going to talk about, populations of people and their ability to vote. So we'll click back in here, go back over here. And we're going to scroll down. It's on page 570. So the questions are on 570. So here's the actual reading. Should the voting age be lowered? And it's actually a really interesting reading. Again, you can see it was written in the year 2000. So it's really, at this point, it's hard to believe, almost 21 years old, November. But obviously, the voting age is still 18. This was advocating for even lower. So go ahead and take a look. It's another fairly quick reading, but I think it's an interesting reading. And then we're going to be answering the short answer questions 1 and 3. So hopefully you have paused and you're able to come back and look at these questions. You are answering questions 1 and 3. So 1 talks about particular young people. And it says, do you think most young people share this desire, or as argued in the first reading, they don't care about the political world? So you are going to go ahead and look at that and look at those quotes and see if you agree or not. Do you think most people share this desire in terms of they are tired of facing oppression, they're tired of unconstitutional age restrictions? Do you think all this is right? Do you think that most young people share these ideas, or they just don't care about the political world? So again, read that and tell me your thoughts. You agree or disagree, and why? And then you're also answering question 3. The fact that people have been denied the right to vote for the first 18 years of their lives has given them a sense of powerlessness when it comes to voting and civic participation. What is your reaction? And do you think minors in America feel powerless? So again, both of these relate directly back to what was talked about in the selection and kind of your opinions. You can't go wrong as long as you support your response. Okay, so that's the last part of part B there. When you're done, you are going to, as always, go ahead and make sure you click in and upload. It is due by Sunday as part of your Chapter 10 assignments. So real quick recap, you are going to be posting in week 13 discussion board by Wednesday for your week 13 attendance. Make sure you submit your Chapter 10 text and skill sheet and your Chapter 10 vocabulary quiz. Again, your vocabulary is always in a separate video. So make sure you submit both of those by Sunday, April 25th, and then check out the mastery skills videos that goes along with this week, the critical thinking, as well as the vocabulary video. so that you can make sure you have everything completed. Hope everyone has a great week.